Hello, I'm Dr. Whittlesticks, and today we are going to the least deadly and nicest part of Undermountain, the subterranean city of Skullport. In the base book, Skullport is a town that's more of a rest stop with very little to do in it other than shop. So, I've added 2 encounters, as well as making our normal changes, including adding a mayor to the town, a devious election, a long-lost secret, and so much more. But before we delve into that, let's talk about the changes to the already existing areas. Area 12 is a shop of a sea hag known as Olive Stillwater. She summons undead, although for some reason she asks for the customer's hair. Now if you check the Create Undead spell, it doesn't need a lock of hair as its components. So why does she want this? Well, she in fact wants the hair to summon Banderhobs, a creature in Volo's Guide to Monsters that are used to hunt down people. The ritual was first created by hags. So what she does is that she gives away zombies for the price of hair, and then will summon these Banderhobs to go after the party. Now, they can attack them on Skullport, on a different level, but at some point the party will be attacked by Banderhobs. I would advise 2, and if you really want to put your players to the test, try 3 or 4 of them. Area 15. Now this is more about the Sargoth level, but as you may know, the Hobgoblin Warlord there has a Dagger of Blind Sight that was recently stolen. Well, instead of putting it all the way down in level 6, by then your players will have completely forgotten about the quest, I say you move the dagger to being taken by the Duergar, who owns this shop. Area 17. Now this area is mostly just kind of nothing, a bit of a town center. But anyway, and you can pick any of the buildings on the map, but you want to add a huge manor to the center of this town. This manor belongs to the city's current mayor, who is in fact Rantantar, who you might know as one of Halaster's original 7 apprentices. Now in the module, Rantantar manages to get himself stuck in a wand of wonder. Well, the same thing happens, but in this version, Halaster actually cares about his apprentice, and so attempts to break him out of this wand. Now this has some strange effects, as he did not come out as a human, but instead he was basically a spirit. Halaster then asked Trobriand, one of his other apprentices, to create a body for Rantantar, and now Rantantar is an 8-foot, whitish-yellow crystalline golem. And from there on, Rantantar became the mayor of Skullport. We'll talk more about him a bit later. Area 27. This is the Poison Quill shop, and the only change is if the Skullport Rumble, one of the events that I'll be talking about very soon, has yet to be announced, you can put Halaster in this shop, as it also recommends in the book, since I would say you want to give your players just about any opportunity to talk to Halaster. Now lastly is Area 36. This is the Drow Refuge, and instead of just being full of spiders, I say that you bring back the Drow House. They're a lot weaker than they used to be, thanks to the Xanathar Guild, but they currently still are around. House Tenortatfal, I love Forgotten Realms names, don't you? Is still here. Now, I'd probably say include about 10 elite warriors, 36 standard drow, the drow priestess, who I'll be talking about later, and a whole bunch of slaves, considering the fact that this drow house is most known for their slaves. Now, also, to make Skullport a bit more interesting, I'm going to add some shops. You can place these shops anywhere you want throughout the Skullport, but these are just some ideas. The Craze Cartographer. This shop is run by what seems like an unending supply of simulacrums of Halaster Blackcloak himself. This shop sells maps of the different levels of Undermountain, excluding levels 22 and 23. Unfamiliar Familiars. This shop is owned by a Duergar hunter and his Quaggoth companion. They sell odd arcane familiars such as pseudo-dragons, gazers, or pixies. Bilfglop is a house-sized gelatinous cube that once terrorized the city of Skullport. Rantantar casts a sequester spell on the cube, keeping it locked in a permanent state of suspended animation. If you want to, you can have Halaster Blackcloak or some other devious force dispel magic the sequester spell, as this giant gelatinous cube begins wreaking havoc. And lastly, the Black Knight. This friendly local game store sells such classic games as Penthouses and People or Gathering Magic cards. Now, on to the biggest event that you can hold in Skullport, an election for mayor. As mentioned before, Rantantar is the mayor of Skullport, but his 50-year term is now coming to a close. If your players want, they can throw their hats in the ring or watch from the sidelines. Now, let's go over these candidates. Rantantar is a joke-cracking illusionist that is not so certain he'll win this year, with the Xanathar Guild having taken over a good chunk of Skullport. Rantantar's stats are in the description below. Xanathar, the Beholder crime lord himself, wants to grow his underground crime ring, and after his recent loss in the events of Waterdeep Dragon Heist, he is desperate to grow his empire. Xanathar is far from the type to play fair, and will try to rig the election in his favor. Lastly is the Drow priestess Demortra Tentortau. This Drow priestess is a master of slaving that goes well beyond the standard Drow. She spent most of her life in the city of Menzoberranzan and knows how to charm and manipulate people. The residents of Skullport are very bloodthirsty people, and so the mayor of the town is not chosen by election, but instead the Skullport Rumble. This is a gauntlet of 4 challenges that choose the mayor of Skullport. Halaster Blackcloak himself has visited Skullport to host the event. Halaster spent weeks and hours preparing for the Skullport Rumble and couldn't be more excited for it. Undermountain Jeopardy. This is sure to be fun, and I'm sure you're well aware of the rules of Jeopardy. But you should note that some of the questions can be answered with a successful intelligence check. All of the questions, answers, and DCs are in the description below. The Great Skullport Baking Show. This is a cooking competition, and with all of the ingredients in the world are available thanks to Halaster's magical reach. The players can make just about any food. Have whoever's making the food make a survival check, and if your players have a background as a baker or a cook before adventuring, feel free to give them advantage. Rantantar, the odd gem golem, makes a platter of raspberry and chocolate tarts. Xanathar, being a beholder from the far realm with a very odd taste in food, makes roasted and buttered 3-eye swamp frogs. And Dimitri, the drow priestess, trained to cook back in the city of Menzoberranzan, also has advantage on her check. She attempts to make a delightful rofau and mushroom steak. Now we get into the really fun stuff. The game of Fireball. This is Halaster's most twisted game yet. Fireball is a game where players each spend their turns throwing a fireball before it explodes. A written version of the game rules are in the description, but to give you a basic idea, you roll, as the DM, hidden from the party, a d6 and a d4. Add those together. That's how many rounds it will take before the fireball explodes. From then, players spend their turns attempting to throw it back at different contestants with strengths and dexterity checks throughout. If they manage to succeed a strength or dexterity check by 5 or more, they manage to catch the ball and then get to use the reaction to throw it at another target. A much easier set of the rules is in the description. The final game, the key to success. The last challenge is a race against animated keys. Halaster's animated the keys, and each one of them has a picture of the candidate's face on it. The keys have the same stats as a flying sword, but they're tiny, have immunity to all damage, and a fly speed of 180 feet. The goal of this game is to grab the keys before anyone else can. The keys fly up and down through all the levels of Skullport. Your players are going to either need to find some way to trap it, or grapple it, or something. After these games, whoever has the most points wins. If anyone has the same amount of points, they begin a non-lethal battle. If any of the other competitors have lost, they'll throw their hats in with the party. They'll reach out to them and attempt to make deals with them. Rantantar will offer the party magic items, for instance, a wand of magic missiles, but almost anything he can get his hands on. Xanathar will attempt to bribe the party with 500 gold pieces, and the Drow Priestess will offer 8 Drow who will serve the party for 10 years. So, depending on how things play out, your party may be joining one of Halaster's apprentices, the Xanathar Guild, or even becoming the mayor of the city. If your party isn't interested in the election, then you can run this sort of mystery. About 10 days ago, Cassio Shadowdusk came down to Skullport to pick up some components for a ritual. Cassio tested the ritual in Skullport. Unfortunately, it failed, releasing many arcane secrets that took the form of an alep. For those unaware, aleps are formed by magical secrets, and they attempt to spread them. This secret turns the people of Skullport into gibbering malvers. The only creatures who have minds great enough to withstand the madness is the Netherese flame skulls that haunt Skullport. But how exactly can your party convince these souls of these wizards to help them out? That, my friends, is up to them. Well, that's everything I have for the city of Skullport and its inhabitants. If your adventuring party has visited Skullport, then please tell me in the comments below. And if you want to be updated on further Mad Mage content, then please comment or subscribe.